because I think each moment is a teaching moment, is a moment where there's an exchange of information, which then allows for the individual to play with or complicate their system of knowledge. You had said that that's something that all teachers, every interaction within education is an opportunity for learning.
Right? That's
Do they, though?
well, there's the saying that when something goes wrong, oh, it's a learning opportunity, or like everything's a learning opportunity. I think that's true, but not everything is necessarily a teaching opportunity or a teaching moment. But in education, for teachers, every moment, whether it's you're actually at the front teaching a lesson or you're walking around checking their work or you're having a conversation with them about a question they asked, like those are teaching moments in every interaction you have. And I think teachers know that. It's the same way it's the same way that you need to be mindful as parents what you say even when they're only like toddlers because they absorb everything like sponges. Everything's a teaching moment as a parent when it comes to your kids. So like you need to watch how you talk to each other, how you act around each other, what you say when you think they're not listening, because those are teaching moments. So it's the same thing. I think teachers know that.
How is it different from just a regular conversation then, when there's a listener and a receiver? So one person is the pseudo teacher because they're sharing, and then the other is the receiver, and therefore they're the student.
But I think when you're talking about broader interactions where it's like two adults, I'm not saying that like you can't be taught something outside of a formal environment, teaching environment, but I think those are more learning opportunities than teaching moments. That's you being open to learning in every interaction and learning from what someone else has to say when they're just sharing their perspective
Right.
versus a teaching moment where you're taking on the role of like an educator, a teacher.
What if the teacher is not open, though?
Well, there probably are.
In the same way that when we're having interactions with anybody, they might not be open to what we're saying.
But then that's more so a teaching moment for yourself to be like, well, I was open to hearing what they had to say. They weren't open to me, but that says more about them than you. And you still learn from that interaction that there are people like that who aren't open, but you went into that conversation. But I think that's more a self reflective teaching moment. And if other people aren't willing to, like, I'm sure there are some teachers who know what they're teaching, are very set in how they teach it, like, follow exactly the curriculum, have their own beliefs that they kind of insinuate in their teaching. I'm sure there are people like that. But the best teachers are the ones who, when you come to them on lunch and it's their free time, their time away from their students, and they sit down with you to talk about what you're going through in your personal life or help you or ask you a question that has nothing to do with the content they just taught that day, but is of interest to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are teaching moments outside of the formal I'm standing in front of class or we're doing a lesson. And I think teachers know that, which because I feel like people who become teacher, the majority of, I think all teachers know that. I think the majority of teachers apply that. Because I think most people who have wanted to become teachers, who are teachers, had a good teacher.
Okay.
That's the same reason you want to.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing could just be like a lot of people like working with youth and kids. So they wanted to be teachers, but I think the majority of people who are teachers or who want to be teachers had a teacher that they want to be like. And what did that, and why, and like, if you're thinking about it that way, then, well, what is it about that teacher? What did they do that made me feel seen and heard, that made me want to do that for other kids? And those were teaching moments outside of the formal teaching in the classroom.
Did you notice that?
What?
Um, like there was a good pause, lengthy pause, and that just reminded me of moments like where I struggle to not interrupt because your thought was still flowing. And that's something that I'm constantly working on. It just reminded me, like, because there was a pause and I was about to say something, but I took a breath. That was speech as.
I don't lose my train of thought like you. I'm sure it would have been okay. But at the same time, you only notice that because it's me, and I do that a lot, where I like still have a thought, but I just need to pause to like think about how I'm gonna say the second part of my thought. But if it was anyone else, you'd probably think they were done. Like that pause meant like you can interject now.
She's like falling asleep. Chaz's eyes are completely closed.